For from past 1 year, I'm working at Capgemini. I graduated in 2021.
You graduated in 2021.
Yep.
Okay, that's amazing. So now you're working as which engineer, like the front end or back end or which?
I'm working as, if I talk about the exactly term, that is site reliability engineer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, got it. So Aryan, I'll just give you a basic introduction of what is happening here. So this is a community meet.
Yeah.
And if once in a week we have a community meet like this, and we talk about our different tech topics. Let's say we talked about how to crack your interviews, or we talked about the best coding practices, and we also talked about like how to choose a good company. So
Mhm.
every week the topic differs, and we have like people from the range of 1 year of experience to 15 to 16 years of experience. So
Mhm.
collectively, when you hear the information and the experience and perspective from different people, the topic has a different way of perspective that we could have it from, right? And if you're having any questions for someone who's actually working or someone who's expert in the industry, so
Mhm.
you can ask over here. And this is a quick networking session in the community that we are implementing in our community called Rebase. So yeah. And before we go to the topic today, so today it is live resume reviews. We have Ananta here who actually helps people with the, how to crack interviews and best questions and resources to practice from. And he also he's one of our top contributors of the community who helps a lot with if you're having any doubts in any things, or if you want your resume to be reviewed or something that you want to change, he
Mhm.
would be the best person to ask. So he's here, and if you want to share your resume or ask any questions, we can go ahead. But before that, we'll just have a quick introduction from Akash and Sakib. So yeah, Sakib, can you hear me? Sakib, can you hear me? I think he's on mute. Okay. Hi, Akash. Uh, can you guys unmute yourself and let us know if you could hear us? Yeah.
Hi, yeah. Hi, Anjum.
Yeah. Can you give us a
So,
quick introduction of yourself?
yeah, so I am a React developer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a full stack developer, but I majorly work in React. And I have a work experience of 2 years. So
Mm-hmm.
currently I'm exploring this community.
Okay. So where you based out of, Akash?
So currently I'm working from home in Noida.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So all this while you've been working in Noida itself, or do you have any other place that you've been working on all this while?
No, so I am working remotely since I've joined.
Okay, oh, that's great. So, what is your main purpose of joining any community, Akash? So, just a quick question for you. So, like, what's something that you look out for, and what's something that motivates you to be a part of the community, or something that you want assistance from?
So currently I was exploring this, so I found this Discord. So I am looking forward to meet some peer devs and like help them or get learn from them
Yeah.
like this.
Okay. And okay, that's amazing. I hope you get the expertise that you're seeking from. And we, as a community, we really look into how we could serve people. So yeah, I'll just give you a quick introduction, guys. So I am Hassan Jum, and I'm a community executive. I can be a point of contact for anything that you need in Discord, and I'm mostly working with the engagement part of this community and acquisition. So I also organize this community meets and webinars if you are familiar with it. But let's not go there. Let's come to the topic and stick to this. So Akash and Aryan, if you guys are looking out for any jobs or any interviews, how many interviews have you given up till now, and what do you think is the major setback that you're getting, and something that you want to improve but you're not having any idea how to get onto that? So I think let's start with Aryan. Yeah, Aryan.
So right now, I'm not giving any interviews. But during my first job hunt, the major problem that I was facing was competitive programming. So most of the time I was applying to product-based companies, And the first requirement for their after getting shortlisted, the first requirement was competitive programming or high level of DSA. So if you have development skills, web development, and you are good with DevOps things, you need to learn competitive programming. So this, which is a weak point for me. So right now I'm learning that and working on that.
Yep, yep. So majorly, how many interviews have you given, Aryan, and what is something that you have experienced, any patterns that you've experienced of all those interviews, or something that you would want to learn? Because if you want any suggestions on resume reviews as such, we have Anant Kumar, and you can ask any questions that you have around interview preparations or any questions around resume and everything.
Uh,
Not
for
anything
resume,
as of now.
yeah, right
Okay,
now,
great.
yeah.
Yeah. Ananta, so usually you mentor people around interviews and how to prepare a good resume that can actually be shortlisted, and you know what exactly it takes for your resume to stand out from the rest of the crowd. And interviews, you've shared a lot of resources in the community. So can you give us your quick experience or takeaway from that? Something that you've learned from your experience till now, and you've given a lot of interviews. So what's something that will make you interview ready, or ready to crack the interview? Maybe it's the resources, or starting from how you have to get your resume done, to what are the steps you should be taking for cracking any company as such. I think you're on mute, Ananta.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Cool. So hi guys, hi Akash and Ayan. I guess I'm meeting you guys for the first time, I guess.
Hi, yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
Hi.
nice to meet you guys. So basically, right, I'm not sure like this is a requirement from you guys for what you are asking me, but I feel this should be a discussion. If you feel any point of time I'm misleading or something, definitely stop me and counter attack me. It's totally fine, because this is not a lecture. This is like a discussion that we're gonna have. I think this is the first time they're actually live streaming it, but previously we never used to do that. But we used to have a very healthy discussions every time, and a lot of people used to join.
This
Right?
is
It's
being
just
live streamed.
I guess so. Yeah, but it's okay, fine, not a worry.
Yeah, it's just you can have a basic discussion, and usually every community meet that we have is really insightful and with the discussions. So we thought of like going with the live stream. You just don't have to be conscious about it.
No,
It's
no, not at
fine.
all. But I was
Okay.
surprised that I'm being live streamed.
Yeah, you can watch it later.
No, what I'm yeah. So basically, I remember like whenever we had these discussions, you used to record them, but cut out the best snippets and put it on LinkedIn. I've seen that happening many times. So maybe yeah, but it's fine. So basically, what I'm saying is we'll have a discussion. So I'll raise few points which I have in my mind, and you can ask. You can, if you have a better points to add, you can definitely tell. We'll see. Yeah. So main thing, right? Whenever we have resume, whenever we talk about preparing for interview, the resume is a basic thing that comes to mind. And there are few things that are absolutely we should follow without a second thought. And it's very common for irrespective of a role, which domain or whatever it is, like, right? So basic things which people get wrong are like, naming the resume as resume itself. These are like very silly mistakes people do. And that's not a great thing. You need to name your resume with your name and the role that you're applying for. So that's how you the person who downloads it will have an idea. Otherwise, they'll have this. Many people will do the same mistake, and it's not good. And also, there's this lot of resources on internet which help you making these resumes, uh, and they're not actually updated up to date. And there are some very really old sites which give you the old format of how the resumes has to be, where you'll see like people putting up their home address, their phone numbers, their father's phone number, their home address, and their photos. Maybe sometimes even people put their passport photos. It's really bad. I mean, it's not wrong, but it's not actually expected, and it actually takes up a lot of your resume space, right? So these are something which people has to remember, and some people send their resumes in Word format. I mean, these are like very silly mistakes which you should not be doing. I mean, that's basic common sense, I feel. Uh, so if you're really keen about putting something like a location or something in your resume, that should be only when you are like applying for specific city, like say you're far from a, like I currently, for me, Bangalore is nearby and my preferred location is Bangalore, and I'm fine with it. But if you have some preference of multiple locations or something, so if you want to convey some kind of message with respect to location, then yeah, having those kind of things makes sense. Otherwise, they should not be there, I feel. And also one more thing is, people forget what to highlight in the resume and what not to highlight. Uh, Sometimes you'll see resumes where they have elaborated like anything about their college project, but they'll have 3 years of experience and they've written only some 5 to 6 lines about their work that they have done in the previous company. But there's some 20 lines regarding the college project that they have done. Unless the work that you have been doing is different from the college project and you're applying for a new job which is based on the college project, it makes sense. Otherwise, it's not needed. So what is happening here is they have done the resume once and they keep updating the same resume by adding the more sections, but not proofreading what has already been written in the resume. They're like, okay, I have done it that time, it was best that time, I'll continue adding more sections to that. That's not right. So each time you actually apply for a role that maybe a dream job or a dream company, you have to go through your resume once again and see what is happening. And also, like, this is a very common mistake, and even I have done this. So we had so many things in the resume, like I have done this 20 projects, I have done this so many, so and so many courses, I have so many certifications. But if you actually think about it, we'll not actually have the knowledge of that at the given moment. Say I may have done a AWS certification, Azure fundamentals, and so on so. But right now, if you ask me questions, I may not be able to answer it. But if I include that in a resume and the interviewer asks it, it will be a very awkward moment at that time. So, and maybe the role doesn't even require you to have a cloud knowledge, right? So this type of silly things, which can lead the interview in a totally different manner, and totally different impression for the person. So basically, right, resume should be something that should be able to get you an interview, but not the job. But whatever you include in the resume should be good enough for you to answer. Like, you should have all the basic points to cover up all the points that you have put up. You should not simply put up everything because you have done it. Doesn't make sense, because maybe you wanted to try learn what is some ML algorithms, I mean machine learning algorithms, and you did a course for that. Maybe you are not interested in that anymore, and if you're not interested, you definitely forget it. But if you include that in your resume, you'll be in a bad situation there, right? So these are some basic things. And yeah, and even like some people I've seen, they're putting up Facebook links, Twitter links, really not required, I feel. But yeah, I do prefer if you put up a personal portfolio, LinkedIn profile, or GitHub lead code, this kind of links. But instead of actually putting up, so one more thing is, whenever you're putting up a link in the resume, don't put it as like https www dot so and so. You can highlight the word with the link, and when you click on that, it will redirect to a different page. So people will understand because it will be highlighted in a different color. So that will definitely work out. And yeah, that's one thing. And you even on your name can be a link, because it can redirect to your personal portfolio. This may not be very understanding for most of the people, but I mean most of the people who see the resume. But yeah, you can also give it a try for that. And what else? Yeah, so
So
one
is there
more
any
thing,
like
right?
major, sorry,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's one more point which very commonly most of the resume websites recommend doing it, but I definitely feel you should not be doing it, is rating your skills. That's a really bad thing. I feel personally, I feel if you're good at something, you put it. If you're not good at something, you don't put it. Because say there is no point in putting up Java 1 star. There is no point in that, because if you're 1 star guy with Java knowledge, Mostly, and you were applying for like say you have 5 years of experience and you are applying for some role, the expectation is obviously high. So there is no point in putting that. Even in the for the freshers, like if you're confident in some subject, you put it. So definitely for any interview, they will ask you like, tell me about yourself. You can definitely cover that 1 point stars if you're interested. Like I know these so and so languages, but I'm also familiar with so and so languages, but I've not worked on many of those projects. So it can be simply done. But if your goal is to, like just for the screening purpose, you want to put some languages in the resume and, just for the sake of getting the job interview, I mean, that's, I leave it to the personal choice. I am not the one to tell you that is right, this is right. I will leave it to the personal choice. Like, that's up to you, like however you want to carry it out. You can definitely do it. And there is one more thing which I want to tell about the education section that we usually do. So I see people putting up 4-5 lines for one, like say you want to put up your 10th, 12th and engineering, right, degree. I see some people putting 3 lines for each, like 10th standard, this one, so and so board, so and so school, so and so percentage, out of which also they'll put sometimes. So this is really not required. You can actually have a simple table where you have graduation year, school, board, and percentage. It will be simple 3 lines, right? So these are some basic things which are, because definitely, first of all, your grades are not actually much considered in most of the places. But if you're a fresher or a beginning of your career, there might be some service-based companies which might look at percentage and decide upon 2 candidates for equal. So it again depends upon the company and the person who is applying, who is interviewing, all that stuff. So putting up your marks is your wish, the person's wish, and the company's, if they're asking, you can definitely put it. And if you have really good score, you have to put it. So, but yeah, don't fill up the page of with whole education information. Put up your skills, put up your projects, put up your volunteer experience, put up your extracurricular activities, right? So that is what, because your 4 years you might have done engineering and you have 1% at the end. That cannot get you a job. But what you have learned in those 4 years and what you fill up the resume for with those 4 years of experience will get you the job, right? So that's what I want people to think. Focus on is what is important, not the highlights of your like not the end achievement. No one cares about how you did you win or not, but people will always respect you for the experience, right? So it's like that. Yeah.
So we have
Completely
a
agree with you.
common mistake that I don't know if it's a mistake or something intentional, but most of us are guilty for lying on the resume, right? We just have like tens and tens of skills. We'll say we overachieve ourselves on the resume and everything. So what's your thought on it? Like whenever, if in case interviewer is asking you, okay, what is your take on something that you mentioned, which you are not good enough, how would you tackle it? And is it really necessary, or is it required to fake little, just overhype your stuff on resume and add something that you are not actually really good at? So how would that turn out, and what impression would that leave on an interviewer like that?
So I'm not sure like where this exact scenario will come up. I'll tell you, right? So say you're applying for a front-end role. You're expected to know one of the front-end frameworks, say React or Angular, for example, and you're expected to know Java, HTML, CSS, all those basic stuff, all those things. Now, if you want to lie about one of these skills and join that role, I don't know how how the person will succeed, first of all, right? So I don't know. It's a really big gamble for me. So it depends upon how aggressive the company is. So depending upon the aggression of the company and the manager, you'll be thrown out of the company so quickly. So that's what is going to happen. I've seen this happening. People lying, even with 10 years of experience, they come and say, I'm very expert in this, and they're not able to do very simple things. So that will definitely have an effect. You can,
Yep.
but what the workaround you can do is, I have actually done this. So what you can do is you can mention some skills, or you don't mention the skills on the resume, but you can tell it during the introduction and say, this is something which I'm learning right now. Or you can even put it in the resume, like saying certification or resource learning or something like that. and put up the course that you're taking and put the number of hours you're covered out of number of hours. So like say for example, you're taking a 6 months long course, which is of 200 hours regarding artificial intelligence and machine learning. You can say 100 hours completed out of 150 hours. If you want to really lie about something which you are interested about doing it in the future, you can do that. So it's all about being honest in the resume and impressing the person, right? So if you're gonna lie about something and get in, and it's a really gamble about surviving in the company.
Yep. And coming to the part of, let's say your first resume to your resume, which is current, right? So what are the major changes that you have seen over the, period of time? Because when we are coming out of college, our understanding is different. And then we might not have a lot of assistance over how we should be pitching in a resume, because there are millions of resume that a company gets on everyday basis. And what's something that you need to look out for? And in a times like this, where all the companies are laying off, and if you're trying to, grab some new opportunity, it's going to be pretty hard. And how would you make your way with your resume? Because interacting with you is going to be this next step. But first, you need to, get into the eyes of, let's say, recruiter or interviewer with your resume, right? So what's something that you would recommend that would help people stand out?
So my resume knowledge, right, whatever that I'm speaking of right now, is not something I took a course. I took up a course or something I learned, but it has come to me over the experience. Like number of times I've rewritten my resume and stuff from the college time, because we have almost 1 year of placements which happened from the third year, and I started preparing my resume from third year itself, and it took a lot of time for me to refactor it. I mean, I was one of those guys who went to the resume website, put all my information. In fact, I have even downloaded the resume recommended by the LinkedIn, like they give you auto-generated resume. I've even tried that. So it's all about, right? It's trial and error. The number of times you read it, the first time you write your resume, you will actually find out your own mistakes. And sometimes you'll have to go till the interview step for the interviewer to point out something on your resume and ask, why is it so? And you're not able to answer it. And you understand, okay, this should not be there on my resume. So that also happens. But during my refactoring of my resume, right? So the points which I found was, we have to keep the resume compact. You need not have that lengthy 2-3 centimeters margins and all in the resume. It's really not required. Second thing, you need not have it fancy with different colors, unless like you are a UX and UI developer where you want to impress the person. Then that's a total different approach. We are not talking about like abnormalities. We are talking about a general discussion, general way of doing it stuff. So, and you have to keep it simple, and you have to keep the font simple, no fancy stuff. No need to have a lot of what do you say that spaces between the paragraph sections. You just need to highlight the header of the section. That's it. And we lot of times we say this, you don't make your resume more than 1 page. We say this, but sometimes it goes off. But if you carefully observe, I think we can bring it under 1 page. It took me around 7 to 8 tries for my resume to come under 1 page, but we can definitely do it. It's not a one-time thing that's going to happen. So you get your best content out there. Slowly, by proofreading it yourself, you'll be able to understand like which sections to remove, which sections not to remove, which sections you can merge into one. So sometimes one of the things, right, where you can merge, right? So for example, we were talking about skill set. Say I have done a project based on OpenCV that was for the face recognition system. But if you ask me questions about OpenCV, I definitely can't answer you right now, because after that project, I never touched it. But I want to include that in my resume. What do I do? So I have a section where I have listed all my projects. In that project, when I mention the project name, I put in a bracket skill set used. So the person who is reading the resume also understands that this person used this particular language only here, but that's not his main skill set, because I've not mentioned it in my main skill set. So these are some techniques we can use, even though the person doesn't understand, but you will be able to justify yourself for why you are written so. So this is one thing, right? So it takes a lot of trial and error, and yeah. So those are the things you can even remove the lines which have only one. So for the sake of one word, we put a new line. we are not able to refactor the sentence. So those kind of things we have to take care. And there is one more cool trick that we can actually use. So whenever you want to format some stuff, this is so like, say, for example, you want to have name of the company and the year, but you want the name of the company to be the left and the year to be the right. So what we do is we put multiple space between the two of them. So if the computer changes, if the word format changes, or if someone opens in a different this
Yeah,
thing, it
yeah,
may change
yeah.
out. So
Yeah.
what I suggest for people is put a table with only 2 rows, in 2 columns and 1 row, and adjust the length there. Once you're done that, make the table borders as none.
Hmm.
So this is one of the cool ways you can get around it to make everything in your resume aligned. So if you see my resume, actually, everything is a table there. Even every sub point that I put is a table. And I made all the tables as invisible. So if you at any given point of time, whatever I do edit, if I add extra words, if I do extra words, I'm damn sure that that position, I mean that section will be stay in that section itself. It will not go across the other sections. So using tables will help in the resume. That is how actually the online resumes do that. So that's one thing we can definitely do. That's one trick. Yeah.
Yep. And coming to the point where, yeah, Aryan, you have a question?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you in between.
Completely.
Yeah. So my question is, does HRs use software to uh, find the right resume
Mhm.
or they manually look into it?
Okay. Yep. Ananta? Ananta, can you hear us? In case, unmute.
Hello. Sorry.
Yeah, your screen is blank actually. Yeah, now, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
So
I
Aryan is
got a call.
asking,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Aryan is asking if HR use any tool for screening out your resume. That's the question, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So big companies where they get a lot of applications definitely use that. But these are very big companies we are talking about, like Google, Amazon, all these big companies, KPMG, all that big four, all those companies we are saying. I think they definitely use them to screen. But the way, if you see the mid-sized companies or small-sized companies, what I think they do is, because with number of interviews I've given and the way I've got shortlisted, what I feel is they have seen the responses that I've given in the initial, like when you're applying for a job role, they'll ask you some set questions, right? Like how many experience you have in this technology, or something like, are you willing to come to this location? How many years of total experience? What is your expected salary? All this stuff they ask you. So based on those answers, first they shortlist your first they do the shortlisting, which all profiles I have to take. Then they collect your resumes. Sometimes the HR decide by themselves, like, okay, which resume looks good, or does he have all the skill sets that I mentioned in the roles, I mean, job description. They do that. Sometimes what they do is they give you a call without actually looking at the resume. They just give you a call and they ask you the same questions again, and they want to reconfirm whether you are matching the job description, and they'll ask you some basic questions about the skill set also. The developer or the manager whose team has a vacancy, they would have given some set of questions. So the HR tries to ask you that, even though the HR has no idea about that skill set, but they try to ask you and see whether you're able to answer it confidently without stuttering or stuff like that. So they try to screen you like that sometimes. But yeah, I have seen and heard with my friends that big companies use this thing, and there are actually some free tools available where you can actually upload your resume and get a score, and it will actually recommend you doing stuff. uh, there are tools in the online available. I'm not sure of, I've never used one, but there are definitely tools available for that. If you want, I can research and put it in the chat later on.
Yep. That would be really helpful. And usually we have a channel in our community called hashtag resource learning. Ananta shares a lot of resources around, interview preparations, questions, and I share it. And there are a lot of other people who share it on daily basis. So make sure whenever you are, coming across something valuable, share it across. But we do have a lot of resources already in our community. So you can just go ahead and like have a look, and then you can pick anyone anytime around the questions that you're having around your maybe resume or either best coding practices or something that you've been working on. So yeah, that's pretty much. Do you have any more questions, Aryan?
A cross question to the previous thing that you mentioned, that sometimes the format changes if the recruiter is opening it in some other software or something like that. What if we send them in the form of a PDF? Does that also changes?
Sending it in the PDF is the best, and I recommend that's the only thing you have to do. You should never send a Word document to anyone. Even if you are doing it in your local, always save in two formats, Word and like say you have 5th version of your resume, you save it in both Word and PDF. So that's what I recommend. You always send it in a PDF with your name and the role.
Yep. So we also have Rahul. Hi Rahul, can you switch on your camera and introduce us to yourself?
Hi, actually, no, actually, I am at my office basically. So today I cannot turn on the camera.
Can you guys hear Rahul? I don't know. I'm just having a lot of
Yeah, he
disturbance.
said that he's at office, so he cannot turn on his
Okay,
camera.
great. Okay, yeah. So Rahul, what's your take on Aryan's question? And do you have any experience as such or something? You've given a lot of interviews, right? And out of all, what is your experience, getting through the interview right from your resume building? And do you have any key takeaways from that? And then, how you could like actually get shortlisted, and any tricks that you have been like that you actually came across and learned over the time giving interviews and working in different organizations.
So basically, I use single page resume basically, which has 2 sections. So far now, my resume got shortlisted in some of the big companies like HSBC, Barclays, and Oracle. So, so I think my resume is pretty good, I guess. So as just now I have completed 5 years, so I have decided to make.
Yeah, Rahul, we are not able to hear you.
Is it same for everyone? Ananta?
Rahul, I guess your voice is way too
Yeah,
low.
your voice is way too low.
Yeah.
It suddenly dropped like from last
Yeah.
10-15 seconds. Yeah.
Right now, how is it?
Yeah, it's
Now,
perfect.
this is perfect. Yeah.
So I was saying I use one page resume format basically, which has 2 sections. In one section, I have mentioned all the projects. In other section, I have filled all the personal details and the academic details basically. So as I have completed 5 years right now, so I have decided to remove all the academic details, and I going to add some of my personal projects in that section. So it will be good for the technical skill. It will I can showcase my technical skill more there. So that change I will do. So, and coming to the shortlisting part, if we accept the FANG or any product based companies, so most of the MNCs, as Ananta said, they ask some few predefined set of questions. So on the basis of that, I guess they do the shortlisting, because most of the MMS is looking for the less notice period guy basically. So means I have seen most of the company ask for the notice period, then is it negotiable or not, and the location preference. Based on that, they do the shortlisting. And if any company is interested to take you on board, without your means, even if your notice period is more than 6 days, then they will look at your resume. And sometimes HR do also ask some pre-interview questions, like means in one of 2 or 3 companies I faced this scenario where HR have taken mock interview on the call itself, where she asked me some of the basic technical questions, and after answering those, she decided to take forward my application. So sometimes they follow this process, or they will send you one assignment or HackerRank test link. So you have to clear that one. So currently, MNCs are following this kind of scenario.
Yeah, Rahul. So, if you have any like key takeaways from, something that you would recommend of who's, budding for more, for new opportunities and who's a budding developer, what would that be? Like 2 to 3 key takeaways that you would recommend for anyone. Because at the first round, there are like millions of resumes, right? And you need to get through it, and then that there'll be a personal interview, and that's a different case. Whether if you're not cracking it or not, and personal interview has a little credibility where you could actually showcase and talk and show your skills, right? But resume is something that will speak for you, and how to what it takes for your resume to like make your way through hundreds and thousands of applicants that a company receives on everyday basis.
I will say ki try to add more of the technical stuff than the other stuff, like people. I have seen the resume where some student adds hobbies and other things like what they like to do in their means spare time, or any they write 1, 2, 3 liners objective. Basically, everybody knows those objectives are like copy pasted. So I haven't added any objective in my resume. So try to add more technical stuff so that you can be differentiable than the others, and try to add some of the keywords like web development, then application development, then HTML, CSS. Those are the keywords that you should have in your resume, basically, because if HR is not from that technical background, so he or she just look for those keywords, like he has web development in his resume or not, React.js or JavaScript in his resume or not. So if those keywords are present, then he will shortlist your resume, or else if those keywords are not there, then he or she will reject your resume.
Yep. And I think it's really important because in the very first round, it's really hard for any company that you want to get in. Let's say if you're, targeting with some big MNC or fan companies, you need to have a certain keyword so that the tool that they're using will qualify your resume further. And it should be appropriate. It should be around the JD that you're applying for, and a proper tech stack that it requires, and for the position that you're applying for, right? So
Yes.
that's also there. And yeah, thank you so much, Rahul. That's a really insightful thing. Do you have any questions, Aryan or Ananta, that you want to add more to it?
Nothing. I agree with Rahul's most of the points. Like after certain of number of when you have a lot of experience, there's no point in putting up your education qualification unless you have done a PhDs and masters or something like that. And your roles and description clearly says you need them. So yeah, I agree with that point. Yeah.
Even I also agree with Ananta and Rahul. But Rahul mentioned about notice period. In most of the service-based organizations, there is minimum at least 3 months of notice period that folks have to serve. So is there any way that we can negotiate with the HRs who are not seeking at 3 months of a notice period, but are looking for 1 or 2 months maximum? So what's your take on that?
Firstly, I will say ki you cannot negotiate HR on that now, like, because I have attended a lot of interview calls, and once HR, even my notice period is now 60 days. Still, if when I say I have 2 months of notice period and it can be negotiated to 40 to 50, so they said me, they told me that you can call on this number after 1 month, basically, like when your notice period is came down to 1 month, then you can call us. We will take your application forward, basically. So to encounter that problem, look for the companies which can which will take your interview even if you have the 90 days of notice period basically. So you can resign from your current job basically on basis of that job offer, and then you can search for the other good company.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is very common problem, right, that we face. But I feel the industry standard nowadays has been like 60 days, and very few companies give 30 days. But there are pretty good number of companies which make it as 90 days. But most of the companies which tell you 90 days are okay with getting paid. Like if the company which is going to hire you, if they are ready to pay you the amount of days they want to hire early, usually company agree for that when they have 90 days notice period, because even companies understand that 90 days is too much, but they cannot change that rule as of now. So those companies have this flexibility that buyback offer will be there.
Even like, but I have seen some of my friends, they have the buyout option, but their current company does not assign them any work. They just sit ideal for 90 days.
Yeah. I mean, there are situations obviously, but we can't help those things.
It is kind of a deja vu circle. Like HR blames candidate that candidate is not joining, and candidate blames company that notice period is too high.
See, it sometimes happens like your current company has 90 days notice period, and the company, the HR from the different company who's going to hire you, even they have 90 days notice period, but they expect you to have for 60 days.
Yes.
So even this happens a lot of times. So yeah, but there is something which we cannot have control, but yeah.
To overcome this problem, we have offers and while switching basically. So I selected the shortlist. Basically, I shortlisted the company which has 60 days of notice period basically. So all the companies whose notice period is 90 days, I directly reject all those companies.
Acha, okay.
Now I'm looking for someone.
So where are you working right now, Rahul and Ananta?
I am in Pune for GS Lab. I'm looking for a change basically. Like my current company, basically that is the different story. But right now I'm in GS Lab, in some kind of transition state. I'm right.
Which roles do you work? I mean, what is your profile, like development or something?
My profile is senior software in React.
Achha, okay. You're looking for Pune locations only?
Yes, means right now Pune, but I'm comfortable with Bangalore as well. But let's see.
Okay, I'll let you know. Thanks.
Yeah.
So we do have few questions in our live chat, guys. So let's read it out. And if you guys have any answers to it and what are your thoughts, you can add it. Okay. So I'm going to go with some interesting questions that we had it on our live LinkedIn chat. And Namita says, but for experienced people, the one-page resume, is it is not possible to add all the information. It needs 2 pages. How do you think?
Yeah, definitely right. After a certain point of it'll be impossible to fit everything in one page. So yeah, you can definitely have 2 pages. That's not wrong, but filling up with junk is what I'm saying. Like, you know, only 2 languages and you want to put up that in a separate section. There's no point in that, right? Having skill, you have, say you have 5 different or 6 different skills, putting them in 6 bullet points and leaving the entire right section is of no use. So this kind of silly mistakes you should not do. But if you have a really good this thing, there is definitely nothing wrong in having 2-page resumes if you're an experienced person and you have a lot of projects to showcase. But what I'll tell is, so usually when you get a resume and you want to, the manager or the person who is shortlisting has to make a decision. He won't spend like 10-15 minutes on your resume. Maximum 1 or 2 minutes, right? So because he has a lot of resumes to do. So if you have more than 1 page, what I recommend is put up your best work and the relevant work for the profile in the top section, and try to have a summary which will summarize why you're applying or what is your background when you have more than 2 pages. So that may help, I feel, but yeah, it's good. We can definitely do.
And Mayur is asking how to tackle notice period. And he also asked how many minimum number of pages for resume, like for freshers or experienced. 2 or more pages. I think this question was already discussed, right? Like how many,
Yeah.
if you can just try to concise in 1 page, but if you're having like little more experience, then I think going beyond is not a problem. But I think he has a question around how to tackle notice period. Rahul, Ananta, anything from your side?
See, there's nothing much to tackle. You are a great open to a company, and if there is some flexibility to buy out, you do that, and you go on with it. And usually, the company that's gonna hire you has to understand that. So if they're gonna go ahead with the process, that they're already agreeing for your notice period. It's not like that you have said I have 60 days of notice period and they want the person in 15 days and they're gonna start the interview. They'll never do that because they are not gonna waste their resources if you're not gonna join within 15 days. So yeah, so you have to understand that, and yeah, the company should understand that. There's nothing much to tackle. You have to, maybe if a manager is flexible enough, he can do it. But I mean, those are all personal way of things turning out.
Yeah. So we do have Vinay here. Hi, Vinay.
Yes. Hi.
Hi. Will you be able to turn on your camera? Or
I'll have to join from my laptop and my mobile at the moment. I'll switch on later.
Okay, yeah, sure. So Vinay, we are discussing about the live, resume reviews. So we thought if anyone could like share the resume, we could review it with live, but I don't think so. There's a need for it right now. And we were discussing, different ways that you could have an effective, you can optimize your resume so that you could crack through the interviews and through the companies that you dream of working with, right? And you and Ananta are actively on our community helping people to resume their reviews, and you do give your opinion on it. So according to you, what are a few practices that one should be well aware of when they're designing their resume, or something that most of the people miss, or something that you should be taking care of, or anything from your experience that you have learned over the period of time? Yeah.
So the very first thing is to keep the resume short and concise. Some people go into keeping very long resumes, 2 or 3 pages, which is not at all good because a recruiter doesn't have much of time to go into depth. So 1 page of resume for around 5-6 years of experience should be good, or maybe 10 years of experience, as what is usually done in the industry. And keep a resume simple. No designs are required. A black and white resume is fine. Some people tend to add a lot of design, a lot of colors, which is very distracting. So that should be avoided. And avoid some, like, I'll just be blunt over here. Like, some people tend to add some pretty useless stuff, such as profile picture, date of birth, languages, marital status, or even the house address. So these sort of information should be required because they don't convey much of a useful information. Yeah, if a person is experienced, keep the experience section on the top, and then skills, and then projects or education. And if a person is pretty new to the industry, then education goes to the top, and then skills, and plus any projects if a person has worked on. Other thing would be to have a good nomenclature of the resume. Like, for example, name, underscore, the role which you're interested in. That should be a good nomenclature one can follow. Like, for example, my name is Vinay. So I usually just name it as Vinay space software engineer space resume. That's it. Or space CV. That conveys like what's your name and what's the role which you're interested in. And choose a good font size. I think 10 to 12 font size is good. Not too small, not too big. And yeah, keep it properly spaced. Don't add up big paragraphs. Keep it concise with bullet points or numbered list to help understand what you worked on. And instead of just saying that I developed XYZ product, instead of doing that, specify what impact did you make. Like, if you decrease latency of any API, you decrease the bundle size of an application, what sort of impact would you make? Any performance optimizations, any other stuff. So keep focus on quantifying your things via some metrics, via percentages or numbers. That's what companies are interested in. So this would be my suggestion on this.
Yeah. So I have one more question around it. I think I've seen people mentioning the projects that they worked on or some, some personal projects that they've been working for a while, right? So what difference would that make on your resume, and how important it is to, mention your personal projects or anything that you could just show practically without, just having a paragraphs about it. So what is your take on it?
Personal projects help only the people who have not much of an experience, because they don't have any industry experience. So at least if they have a working knowledge of how technologies are working by developing a project, it's a good point. Whereas for an experienced person who have 4-5 years of experience or even 2-3 years of experience, a personal project won't count unless it's impacting customers, like if there's any live customers which are using. So if that's just a dummy product, like just a pretty simple chat application, to-do application, it's worthless to add unless you have a good open source project going on, or any monetary project which is generating some sort of revenue, or any free software which is having hundreds of users or thousands of users. It will make sense. Otherwise, for experienced folks, a personal project won't make sense if it's pretty simple. And for inexperienced as well, which don't have any experience, the project should be a good one. Some people just copy paste and develop simple applications for which the entire source code is available on GitHub, like to-do applications or chat application, e-commerce websites. So I think there should be some sort of differentiator as well. Idea should be unique. Person should be able to have its own UI UX instead of copying other websites. So that would be a helping point.
So any major setbacks that you have got for your resume as such, or some major mistakes that you have done during your journey from after college to something that you're working right now? So what's something that you wish you actually knew before that would actually help you? So something that you wish you knew before.
So I did a couple of mistakes. First mistake was that I kept the resume too long. My resume was around 2 pages or 2 plus, maybe 2 or 3 pages. So I basically took my resume and like I've already mentioned, Reddit is a good place for learning things around software engineering and cracking companies. So I went to Reddit and posted it in a big Reddit group on resume review. So the main drawbacks in my resume were like it was too long, 2-3 pages long, and I was using paragraphs. So I had to chop down the words and make them into bullet points. And there was a lot of noise in the skill section. So I had mentioned each and every library and framework, no matter how small or big it is. I had mentioned everything in my skill section. So I think that's pretty trivial for some companies because it's sometimes kind of intuitive that you're supposed to know that thing. So big paragraphs, I chopped them down to bullet points and I cleaned up the skill section. And I was having around 30-40 items in the skills, which is way too much for anyone to read properly. So I had removed some of those as well, which I felt are pretty useless, and an engineer should already know those. So yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, usage of paragraphs, having too much skills, and also another thing is like a person should always customize the personalize the resume as per the company. Instead of sending the same resume to all the companies, one should customize. Like if a company is asking only for front end, then just remove the backend stuff from the profile because it's creating a noise in your resume. They might not be interested in hearing that. So that they have much more easier look on your resume instead of like going through the different skill sets and the employer figuring out or the recruiter figuring out like if you know front end or not. So I think one should also personalize as per what the role is expecting. And that also one thing which I was not aware of.
Yep. And one more thing, Vinay. So we usually apply our through different sites. Let's say Naukri is there, AngelList is there, and then you also use LinkedIn job section, which is getting really trendy these days. So what are the sites from your experience and preference would help developers and to get the more conversion and reward from the HR? So do you have anything as such, like, these platforms have a good revert, or maybe do it in this way, and that's how you could get a little earlier revert and, get you through the personal interview? Anything as such?
I don't think any platform gives an advantage of a quicker response from the HR because the application volume is pretty high. So no matter if you apply from the company website or you apply from the LinkedIn, it goes to the same recruiter through the same pipeline. It's not gonna make much of a difference. But yes, profile selection sometimes becomes easy because in LinkedIn, recruiters have a dedicated dashboard where they see which people have applied, what is their experience, and they can compare different candidates as well. So that makes a bit of difference. So most of the websites I've used is LinkedIn, Indeed, and then I have used AngelList. I've not applied on AngelList, but that's a good website for startups. And then there is hackernews.com as well, which is a pretty good website for remote jobs and some in-office jobs as well. So these three are the major platforms, 3 or 4 major platforms which I've used. There is Monster Jobs as well, but never used that. So I think Indeed, LinkedIn, AngelList, and hackernews.com. These are pretty good, which are interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So
One can
can
go
we
to the
use
Reddit as well. One can go to Reddit as well. There are a lot of Reddit groups, but I have never used it.
Yeah. And your take on it, Rahul and Ananta? So what platforms do you usually use? And it's usually a lot of people complain and be concerned a lot around. We have applied like tens and hundreds of companies, but we didn't get any reward back. And is it the platform, or is it the way they're applying, or where do you think the gap is? Where do you think the void is usually there, and how you could actually overcome it?
Yeah, can you hear me? There's power down in my place, so I joined from
Yeah,
my
we can
phone.
hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are plenty of websites like Rahul said, right? But for me, what has worked best was Naukri and LinkedIn. Both of them worked really pretty amazing for me. So there's a few things you have to keep in mind. People blindly apply for job profiles. So there may be a job profile which is laying vacant. I mean, which is there in the site for 2 months. People don't see that. They just apply and think, okay, I have applied only one position in this company, because the recruiter forgot to remove it from the job site. Right. So this is one mistake, and usually almost all the sites show you number of applicants that have applied for that. So if there is a say there's a profile role which has already some 150 applications, I would rather not prefer to apply for that, because there are less chances of my resume getting picked up, because obviously the recruiter will see it from the first, and maybe he'll find a better candidate than me before even my resume comes to him. So these are some things you can observe to avoid, like thinking I have applied for so many companies but never got a call. Yeah, so that's one thing. And the other thing was, yeah, as Rahul also said, right, there's some sites which are specifically for startups, InstaHire, all that stuff, so where people do. And there's one more thing, like you can actually follow, or not even follow, like just go to HR profiles and see. They usually keep posting this job is open at this particular company, and this role is there. This is the link to apply. They usually put up the link. So you can go back there and open the company profile from there and check the other roles which are posted recently. Create alerts for yourself where you can apply as soon as the role has been created. You can actually even create alerts from the Google search itself. You can customize your Google search for a particular role, profile, and company size. and stuff like that. And once the search result comes, you can create alert in the Google itself. So it will send you the alerts. I mean, I don't know whether it will work it or not, but you can definitely do that. If you, yeah.
Yep. Any take on this, on the same, Rahul? Rahul, can you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Yes.
So I was agree with the Ananta, like the points he and Vinay added. Basically, like one of someone has raised the question about the having 2-page resume, basically. So that was absolutely correct. Like add only those things which have made the impact on your means on the project, basically. So the same thing I have done on my LinkedIn profile. Like if you see on my profile, I have added few things that I have worked on the current project, which are the important, like basically any the modules that you have delivered for the project, like from end to end, like from gathering the information till the like unit testing, like
पहले भी गिर चुकी है बकवास.
so you can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we kind of discussed like all the in and outs of resume reviews, of what's something that you should take care of, and the challenges that we've been facing, and how you could overcome it, and how different a resume should look for someone who's starting fresh and someone who's yes. Yeah, Ananta?
Sorry to interrupt. I have one last point, not a counterpoint, but a different approach for the LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, your voice is little low. Can you speak a little louder?
Yeah. So what? 1 second. Now you can hear me?
Yeah, this is loud and clear.
Yeah. So I have a different approach for the LinkedIn. What I prefer is you dump everything on LinkedIn, because if you're gonna send a resume, not most likely they're not gonna come back to your LinkedIn and check back everything else. But dumping everything on LinkedIn, what helps you is there are some HRs who contact you via LinkedIn messages and try to get you a job interview, right? So in those points, you can resume by seeing the length of the your page and a lot of contributions that you have done, and definitely it will impress some few of the HRs. And because the LinkedIn profile section is really neatly done, it will actually help people to see, even if there is a lot of information, it will definitely help them to differentiate between the information, right? So in that point of view, you can definitely have a lengthy LinkedIn page, but not a lengthy resume, because you only have to have the important points there.
Yes.
That's it from my side.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. That was really insightful. And when you talk from different experience, things are different, right? Like from the from 1 year of experience to so and so, let's say 5 to 6, you do learn a lot. You do evolve a lot from the experiences and setbacks that you get, and that's the basic aim of this community discussions that we have. And we just wanna embrace the diversity in our community with respect to the knowledge, with respect to the expertise, with respect to the perspective, and how do you actually look at the things. And there's a lot of insightful information that we get in discussions get really great. So yeah, do you guys have any last things to add? I think we can wrap up the session. Aryan, do you have any questions?
I'll add
No,
one thing. So Facebook is also a pretty good place to search for jobs, because I recently, when I joined company, I got that opportunity from Facebook. I joined a couple of groups on Facebook, and the recruiter was active in one of the groups. He saw my message, my post in the group, and he contacted me on LinkedIn. So it's a pretty rare instance that you get a good opportunity from Facebook, but it did work out for me.
Well, that's something new that I'm hearing. And Reddit and Facebook is something that you don't really, look up to for job as applying, or applying opportunities or something. But I think that's a really great thing, and I think people should start experimenting on different platforms and not just stick with one all the time, and then wonder why you're not getting the results at the end of the day, right? So yeah. So before ending, I think I'll just read out some suggestions that we had in our community. So there's something called non-tech chats, and I rolled out a question saying resume building for developers and your takeaways on that. So I think we have a member called Ashish. He listed few points in it, and I'm going to read it out. So he said, first, keep it concise. The second, don't put unnecessary details, which I think Vinay, Ananta, and also Rahul covered it up. And the third one, to make it one page only. Fourth is use popular keywords related to tech stack. Fifth is put career summary and years of experience explicitly. And sixth is make ATS friendly resume. So that's something that we have in the community. And Akshay says keep it one page, experience first, then projects, and then education details. Don't use fancy templates. It will take up the space. Recheck the links and resume. Put GitHub live URL links to the projects. Don't put summary anyway. Interviewer will ask it for you itself. So yeah. So these are something I think you guys have already mentioned, and it's going to be universal everywhere, I guess. And it's just that you need to be a little optimized. It's just that you need to optimize your resume in a way so that it's a little better than what you've been dumping everywhere in the around the companies, right? So yeah. Well, thank you so much, guys. It was fun discussing, and I would love to have you in the next catch up too. And thank you for audience watching us live on LinkedIn. And they were really interactive, and they were having conversations in the chat. And I did read out some questions. And for people on LinkedIn, you can post your questions in the comment section, and you can also join the community of Discord. I think Rashmi probably have mentioned the community link in the chat, so you can just go and join. And there are a lot of things happening in the community, so I would love for you to come and check it out yourself. And well, that's it for this community meet today. Thank you so much, and I'll hope to see you in the next one too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.